Today on the Real Fan Review, we got Marvel versus Martin Scorsese and Joker versus Joker versus Joker versus Joker versus Joker. Welcome to the Real Fan Review. What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav, one of your hosts from the Real Fan Review. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking about Martin Scorsese, talking shit about Marvel. And we're also going to be talking about, since we just saw Joker last week or about 2 weeks ago.
I saw it last
week, right?
Yeah.
So we'll talk about how we feel about this Joker compared to the other Jokers, because we went really long on the last Joker.
Yeah.
And we just went into all our theories, thoughts. It was pretty cool. I listened to it over and over again, that one. But we'll get to the news. But before everything, we're going to introduce the fellas that are here today. We got my boy Sanj here.
Good evening, everyone. As always, it's a pleasure to be with you.
And we got our man in the chair, Al.
How's it going, everybody?
Yes, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
Smooth.
Oh man, so yeah, man, a lot of news this week. I don't know if anybody really got a chance to catch any movies. I didn't see Gemini Man.
Ugh, kids, work, bro.
Definitely, man. I mean, I'm gonna try to hit the theater sometime this week, but I'm not sure. I'll give you guys a call and see what you guys are looking into doing.
If you want to play hooky on Friday,
we'll see what's up.
Okay.
My coworkers listen to this.
So this episode will come out after Friday.
There you go. Yeah, man. So I mean, let's talk about some of this news that's out there, man. And one of the first things I saw was the guy who plays Black Manta. I think it's Abaya. I think is his last name. Abaya Mutin.
I don't know his name.
But
I know who you're talking about.
He played Black Manta. Crazy. That's probably the best part of Aquaman
and
for me.
I
was
quote
Black Manta.
He killed it.
Yeah, he killed it as the Black Manta, man. Mm-hmm. But he signed on to play in the Matrix 4, man. He's going to be in the movie Matrix 4, so it looks like they're moving things along.
We don't know his who he's playing, though.
Not yet. I mean, I think... What are you saying? You say you have a theory, Al?
No, well, first of all, his name is Yahya Abdul-Mateen.
Okay, Yahya, there it is.
I could see him playing young Morpheus. You were saying that they were looking to cast a young Neo, young Morpheus.
Absolutely.
From what he did in Aquaman, I can see him having the look, the presence.
The presence for sure.
Definitely, I can see him pulling off the fight scenes and everything. So, I think he'd be a good cast for a young Morpheus.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder. I mean, what you think about a young Neo? Like, I can
Neo is pretty young.
Right?
Is it going to be like somebody like Anakin when we got introduced to Anakin Skywalker? Is it like a toddler?
That's what I was saying. I'm like, why would they need a young Neo? I'm like, I get the young Morpheus, fine. You know, breaking him out of the Matrix for the first time, because he wasn't natural born in Zion, right?
No,
he was from the Matrix.
He didn't have the patch in the back.
No.
Which one? No, Morpheus.
Morpheus
was taken out.
Yeah. So it'd be an interesting story to see how he came out of the Matrix.
Yeah, just make it his story.
Yeah, the only two from the original that were Boozer and Tank. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I remember
original
Tank.
Children of Zion.
There it is. Yeah, man. But I can't see why a young Neo.
Nah. Yeah.
Because the point where Neo comes into the equation, or Morpheus meets Neo, Morpheus is already established. So
right, exactly.
Unless he was watching Neo from when Neo was a kid, which is kind of creepy.
Creepy.
You know.
Oh man. So yeah, man, that's pretty much the news in the Matrix world. And then I did see something else this week that I thought was pretty interesting, man. So you guys know, as Marvel bought over Fox. Now, I know the theory out there is
Disney bought over.
Disney bought over Fox so they could get X-Men. They bought Fox's whole franchises.
Hail Disney.
Yeah.
So Disney's taking over the world, bro. The Simpsons already predicted it, so.
They did. They're saying that Disney.
Right.
They're trying to buy Spider-Man. And the estimate right now going around is that they're throwing around $4 billion to $5 billion for Spider-Man.
4, 5. That's low.
Low.
Yeah.
That's like two Spider-Man movies.
That's what I was just gonna say. That's 2 movies.
Dude, they offered $54 billion for the first offer for Fox.
Spider-Man's pretty big.
Yeah, but that's why I say, depending on how much they pay, if they can get them for 4. That's a
deal.
Worth it, because they got.
You guys are really serious about this? You would give $4 billion for a character? Well, it's not. You got to think about the character, the villains.
All right, I'll put it in perspective, right? When we were growing up, which wasn't that long ago. It was
Yeah.
pretty long ago. NBA teams are what, 100 mil? They're now $2
bill.
and $3 billion,
Yeah.
right? The scale of money, right? And with inflation and everything, you got to adjust your scale. Everything now is being a millionaire is what was equivalent of having like $400,000 or $500,000, or maybe even like $100,000-$200,000 when we were teenagers or whatever.
Right.
That's what being a millionaire is now. It's a big number.
That's all it is,
That's
though.
all it is. $1 million can't buy what it used to.
But
right?
just also, not only that, think about it. What's this called? Far From Home alone just took in over $1 billion, and that hadn't even hit DVD, streaming, Blu-ray.
Yeah, God knows how
all
much money
that.
they made off of that thing.
And then you got to factor in all of the marketing, all of the merchandise.
And then nowadays, from like what I was saying about marketing, there were markets that weren't open before, like because of globalization and the economy and everything. Now China is an open market, and well, for the consumption of products and media, anyways. India is an open market, and right there you have basically almost half of the world's population, with China at 1.4 and China at about 1.3 and India at about 1.4 billion. You're talking about almost 3 billion people on a planet of 7 billion people.
Right.
So anything you put out, so whereas before you didn't necessarily have access to those markets or the widespread appeal in those markets, now you do. So when you multiply it by that, yeah, 4 billion.
It's not a lot.
With the return that you're gonna get,
Yeah.
is not inconceivable.
So if you guys are thinking it's so good, do you think that Sony will take it?
No, Sony will be like, we want 10 billion.
No, that's why.
Jesus.
That's why for some reason I thought when you said the amount, and I said, oh, that'd be a bad idea. I thought it was for some reason I heard like 45 or something. Like I thought it was a lot higher.
Oh,
Because that's like 5 movies and maybe a cartoon on Disney Plus,
Right.
And they got their money back. So it would be a smart move. I don't think Sony would do it.
I think what's going to end up happening is Disney's going to buy Sony.
right? Because the rumor
Give
is
it about 10 years.
the rumor is that Amazon was going to buy Sony, and then they would lose Spider-Man because it would revert back to. I think it would revert back to Marvel.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know. Just hearing this, it just makes me think like, dude, they really want him to lead the Avengers.
I think it's more of the freedom it gives them, like because right now they're hindered because Sony has to buy in, they have to do all that. They can now, and they have to hedge their storylines based on him maybe not being there.
Right.
Whereas now, if they know they own him, they can go free with whatever storyline, cross involvement they want.
To be fair, I kind of like the fact that they have to be on their toes. I need something to keep Marvel on their toes.
Right.
If they have control over everything, I think that, to me, could hurt them with their storytelling. This keeps them creative. This keeps it where they have to have a reason to come back to Sony and be like, look, this is the story we're doing, and we're going to make this money. And Sony's like, all right, we want to make this money. At the end of the day, that's what brings Sony back. And they keep pimping out Spider-Man.
Right.
You know, it's a situation that works where they don't necessarily have to do creative work.
Right.
And now Disney and Marvel are putting up more and more money. So the proposition for Sony is becoming a more and more attractive proposition. And then Marvel and Disney on the same side, they're like, we want to continue our story. We want to make the money too. This setup that they have, while it is tense at times, it keeps the story good. It keeps them both working. It keeps them, honest.
Yeah.
This might be the thing that has been keeping the story so fresh and everything. Whereas if Marvel gets at control and Disney gets control of everything,
I almost kind of want them to be held by separate like companies again. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we're gonna be losing out on that X-Men franchise. Because now we have to wait for X-Men to be put into the phases.
I like the X-Men story that was told overall.
Yeah.
I mean, we had some bad movies in there, but overall the story, I like the story that was told. I like the universe it was told in. I like that they didn't try to fit a square peg in a round hole, or round peg in a square hole by trying to jam the X-Men into the MCU. Now that they're rebooting it and everything and bringing them in, like they can bring them in a different way,
right,
and make it fit and work and everything. But so yeah, I like that story.
Yeah, I mean, I personally would. I think I kind of like it almost like the X-Men was a separate universe itself. You know what I mean? Because then you got those movies coming out at the same time as the MCU movies.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't deny the fact that it would be cool to see Cyclops, Beast, Jean Grey, Rogue messing around with Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, and getting all the stories that we used to see when we read comic books back in the day.
Grant, to be fair, and even though the whole MCU thus far was the build up to Infinity War and Endgame, right?
Right.
Outside of the Infinity Gauntlet saga, how much interaction did we see with the X-Men and the rest of the mutants? I mean, Hulk interacted with Wolverine.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing we really missed
No,
out
but
on.
Wolverine was a member of the Avengers for a while,
Okay.
so that would have been good to see him.
Because I'm like completely cool and sold with Fantastic Four coming into the MCU. Absolutely. And there's so many other characters too. But I feel like with X-Men,
But I
don't
feel
know.
like X-Men, they always were kind of separate. Their stories were separate because they lived in their own, and they had some crossovers, but they
Yeah.
had this whole thing where they were kind of separate.
exactly. And that's why I'm curious to see how they work the X-Men into this thing. But at the same time, man, when I'm seeing like Spider-Man, they're trying to buy him out. I'm like, damn, does that mean less Spider-Man movies? Does it mean I know that it'll mean Spider-Man probably appearing in other people's movies.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like with Sony holding it, you're getting a Spider-Man every 2-3 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? So with Marvel now holding it, they could hold Spider-Man for however long they want. But then again, they do get access to all the villains. They get access to, the other Spider-Mans out there.
Which brings me back to a question I asked you guys before. How much more Spider-Man do we want for right now?
I'm ready for Miles Morales.
Okay.
I'm ready.
I'm ready for that too.
After that Spider-Verse,
Yeah.
I'm ready.
But is that Miles Morales? Is Miles Morales the universe that he's in the same universe that the MCU just happened in? It wouldn't seem so.
I don't think so. But at the same
Because remember,
time,
there was a Peter Parker Spider-Man universe, and that came into Miles Morales' Spider-Man universe. So
right. I don't know, man. I don't know. What you think about like the movies, like all these, like you see here, Disney Syria trying to buy Spider-Man. They have access to X-Men, Fantastic Four, all these characters now. Too much?
Not too much.
Or bring it on.
No, honestly, I would kind of like. I like the points. I would like for them to stay separate because, and I was just thinking about it as you guys were talking, like, especially with the X-Men, they're on the level, in my opinion, of the Avengers as a team.
Right.
And kind of like to the point in Spider-Man's last movie, an Avengers level event. You bring the X-Men in, how many events of that level would you be able to have where the Avengers didn't come in and the X-Men were left to themselves to do it, or vice versa?
Right.
Once you bring them into the same universe, their strengths were, in my opinion, equal. So how do you not have the X-Men show up to an Avengers level event because you didn't want to bring the X-Men into the movie?
Yeah, like they just took the day off.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of explaining to do.
So by having them separate, it gives you that justification as to why just the Avengers showed up to this event. Like if you have what's the next main guy they were talking about? Galactus. Like, how does Galactus attack the Earth? And just like Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange and all them show up, and Wolverine and Cyclops and Storm and everybody stay home, or they stay at the mansion. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
How do you like? And they just watch it on the news. Like, how does that like?
That's what I'm interested. I'm really interested in what they bring and do.
But then, how many of those large combo movies would you be able to do?
We were watching the X-Jet that day.
Yeah.
You think we get an X-Men versus Avengers?
That I would like to see.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I
And then
think
send
so.
them back like as a multiverse kind of where they joined. Because one of the theories I liked the hearing was that Scarlet Witch was going to bring the mutants, and that's how they were going to introduce the mutants.
Oh, wow.
Like a reverse of her killing off the mutants, like she did in the comics. They were going to say, in essence, be that she was how they came about. So that would be interesting to see.
I'm curious, man. We can't wait to see what
So,
they do.
and it would make sense that they're talking about the multiverse in that sense with Doctor Strange. Like they go into a universe where the mutants exist.
All right.
So that would
I'm
be
interested. I'm interested. Definitely want to see that. And then since we're speaking about Marvel, before we bring it into the DC universe and stuff, So there's a lot of things going on last week and this week with Martin Scorsese. We got the man of, Goodfellas, The Departed, Wolf of Wall Street, Casino, classic movies, saying things about Marvel. I'll read out what he wrote, and you guys, read out what he said, and you guys tell me what you think. He said that he doesn't see them. He tried to watch them, but it's not cinema. I don't even know what that means. It's not cinema. Honestly, the closest I can think of them as well as they are made are that they're actors doing the best that they can under circumstances, is that they're theme parks. It isn't the cinema of human beings trying to convey emotional, psychological experience to another human being. And then apparently last night he said some more crazy stuff.
Let's go. Let's hear it.
He said the value of a film that's like a theme park film, for example, these Marvel type pictures, where the theaters become amusement parks. That's a different experience. As I was saying earlier, it's not cinema. It's something else. Whether you go for that or not, it's something else, and we shouldn't be invaded by it. I don't know. I think that's froofy talk. I don't know what that means.
I'm not gonna go first. I'm gonna marinate.
You gonna let it marinate for a little bit?
I'm gonna let it marinate a little bit.
Al, what are you thinking about Scorsese? Because I know we're fans. I don't even have to ask you if you're a fan. I know we're all fans of Scorsese films because I remember seeing The Departed with a few of you.
Yeah.
And we were losing our goddamn minds with Mark Wahlberg.
I think he clearly takes movie making and the movie experience serious. So I don't think he clearly meant to throw a little bit of,
Shade.
Yeah. But it's
shade.
not shade for the sake of shade. It's like he takes his profession serious.
His craft.
Exactly. His craft, serious. So to him, like, I don't know if he's doing it intentionally, but he's viewing it as these are movies about comic books. And maybe he's offended that they would be put on the level of his movies, which are dealing with reality.
Right.
So I want to say to your point, like, I'm a fan of his movies, of his directing skills and everything. So I don't want to believe he's trying to be petty in picking a fight with another successful series and franchise of movies. Let everybody live, let everybody eat, and so forth. But I think he just got offended that these are being touted as great movies, works of art and so forth, whereas he considers what he does to be a work of art and representation of what cinema is. Yeah, that's a movie, but I do cinema.
What the hell is the difference?
It's like saying I do theater instead of like I'm in a play. Like I do.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at the types of films that Scorsese has put out, and I'm a Scorsese fan too, because all the movies you just rattled off are some of my favorite movies, right?
Absolutely.
But then he should look in the mirror and say exactly what he said to himself. He's a one-trick pony too, because all those movies are of the same genre, basically very similar stories, gangster-type stories. So he's being a one-trick. So you do art, so do something different, right?
Yeah, no, but he's done a couple things. I mean, he did The Aviator. Trying to think of all the other movies. Shutter Island.
Shutter Island was good. That was really good.
Interesting movie.
That's like, yeah.
He blew
like
my mind with that one. But I get what you're trying to say because he does a similar type of
right.
take.
He has a genre. He has a slice, a rather big slice, right, of it, and he does this thing. It is all cinema because it gets shown in the cinema. It is literally a cinema. It's up on the big screen, and people want to go see it, whether you like it or not.
But is it art?
Is it art?
Is it film?
Is it film? It's on film, right? It may not be to his liking, and it sounds like it's definitely not to his liking. So he's definitely hating, right? And every generation, right? Guys like that are legends now, the Rolling Stones, Van Morrison, the Beatles, when they were just coming out with a new sound and everything, the people that came before them said, this is not music.
Right.
And now we talk about them as legends, right? I'm sure at some point people looked at something Scorsese said and said, this is not art. Hitchcock could look at his stuff and say, this is not art. What I do is art. And Hitchcock was relevant for his time, and he had a vision and a look and everything for that time. For our time, these are our stories. These movies were made for us because this is what we grew up with. And yeah, they were from comic books, but people from Scorsese's generation, you got to understand how they view comic books. They're a kid's toy.
Right.
Right? People are now realizing the depth of the story writing in some of these comics. Some of the comics are trash, don't get me wrong. It's not every comic that was great and groundbreaking. I mean, look at how much psychological work and things have been done just off of Batman and the Joker. Right?
Absolutely.
That relationship
Dark Knight is not just a comic book movie.
Right. That relationship is deep.
Yeah, man.
Right? And there is real depth to these stories, but he's stuck in his way of, well, this is not art because it comes from a comic book. And what I do, I created an original story.
Am I wrong in saying that he was one of the people who helped get the Joker made?
He might be credited as an executive producer.
Oh!
Down goes Frazier.
Hate.
And also it's the fact that you bring up Scorsese, Jennifer Aniston. I've read an article where Jennifer Aniston also waded into the discussion, saying that she wants to see less Marvel movies and whatever. And I'm like, I can't think of a Jennifer Aniston movie where she's the lead that I say, hey, that was a really great movie and I own it, or I want to go see that, or I'll see that again, or hey, you guys got to see this movie.
You know what? She killed it in Horrible Bosses. That was the first time I saw her as outside of Rachel. That was the first time, and I was like, holy crap, who's this?
But I mean, there's a large part of the viewing public that love Jennifer Aniston, Jennifer Aniston movies, loves Friends and all that. And I wouldn't hate on that. I'm like, hey, that's cool because that's what you like.
Right.
But then don't turn around and hate on what other people like as well. Because the Marvel movies aren't out there throwing shade at anybody. In the movies, they're not saying anything negative. Marvel's not saying it.
This,
Right. They're putting out their product and they're trying to tell their story, and the reality is Disney and Marvel put a lot into it, and they will not put out the product until they feel it meets a certain standard.
Don't you feel like it's getting better?
Absolutely. And the storytelling and how groundbreaking something like Black Panther was.
What?
Endgame. Exactly. And everything. So the same level, he's for the way he went about it there is to say that this is basically he basically dismissed it. And there's a lot of work that goes into them. They work hard to put out a really good product.
The actors, the directors, everybody, man.
Right. Mm-hmm. To say that, basically saying, hey, they're not really acting. They're just showing up and putting on costumes, and people are going crazy for it. No, they're like,
no, man.
Come on, Captain America, the way he played that character,
Yeah, Tony
Stark with Robert
from Iron Man to Endgame.
Right. You tell me Robert Downey Jr. is not a real actor?
Yeah, man.
And this is his biggest role?
It's insane, man.
Come on.
It's funny because at first I was trying to see what he was trying to say. And when I think of certain movies in the Marvel industry, like the films that they have, the one thing that I do consider like a theme park, but I don't care, I love it, is Infinity War. That movie just freaking flies by. Things are just happening, and it's completely awesome. And it is a roller coaster of emotions. But I love it.
But
you know what I mean?
All right, but if you're going to call that a theme park, so was The Departed. The Departed was a theme park.
Especially towards the end.
Exactly. And all the killing, just all of a sudden, bang, 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 everybody
random.
So that's not gratuitous? That's not a theme park? Yeah. All these twists going on?
Yeah.
I hear you.
And then Marvel did a great job because at the end of Endgame, how many people really felt Iron Man's loss?
Yeah.
Like in real life, people were affected by it.
Like, were we not like standing, giving it the ovation when they put Tony Stark on the screen at the end of Endgame?
That's
like,
right.
was everybody not?
So,
come on.
It's not dramatic in that sense, but it still did its job. It connected with people on different levels. They did a great job conveying the story. Granted, it's a comic book movie, so there's a sense of disbelief. Not a disbelief. a detachment from reality
Yeah, I got
that
you.
you have to do in order to accept the events of the movies, but they still pulled it off.
They
Like
did. Big
once
time.
you take away reality and say, okay, this could happen, you know, then you can enjoy the movie for what it is. Martin Scorsese's movies keep you grounded in reality. All his movies like really could happen. They do happen probably in somewhere, but that's not the point. And not every movie has to be
right.
based in reality.
I got you.
But the hate comes in where so much fun, so much money, so much attention has been going to the Marvel movies that everyone, you know, when you're successful, when you get to the
Yeah.
top, that's when the hate comes.
But you know what? I also feel like they're missing, I guess, the bigger point on some things. You know, I think these big movies like Avengers Endgame, Infinity War, they bring like a level of excitement that you want to be in the theater. And I think after you watch a movie like that, you kind of remember that feeling of going to movies. You kind of make yourself go see another movie. It may not be another Marvel movie, but you go to another movie
Right.
expecting to have that similar experience. Because let's be real, not everybody's buying a ticket to go see Jennifer Aniston in a movie. So
A lot of people are.
a lot
to
of
be
these,
fair.
yeah, a lot of people are, but not in the billions like Marvel. And even the Scorsese films, they make their money. They're nowhere near the Marvel level. But you know what I'm thinking is like maybe some of those Marvel people who don't normally go to movies, they go to movies for the Marvel movies. They may see a preview of a movie that they may give a chance now because they went to go see that Marvel movie. You know what I mean? Or maybe they'll see an actor in those Marvel movies in a different movie. Like, dude, I'm gonna go see Knives Out because Captain America's in it. All right. But I also heard it was an awesome like murder mystery.
Yeah, that's cool.
But let me be real. I saw Cap and I was like, I gotta support Cap.
Yeah, gotta support. And
know
by
what's
all
funny
accounts, he's
is-
a pretty decent dude. It seems like.
Yeah,
And you know
So,
what's funny is how many people, you bring up Knives Out, how many people were not wanting to go see Knives Out, as good as it seems, because Ryan Johnson directed it. So you got the Star Wars fans like, I'm not seeing that.
Hate. Oh man, yeah, man. Listen, and it's funny because I wonder, like, also if the Marvel movies weren't so great, is he shitting on horror movies?
It just sounds like angry old guy yells at kid for writing
Slow
online.
down!
Yeah,
But I'm
exactly.
a-
Like, you know
but
what it
I'm-
is? It's like, they're so set in their ways that they just don't like what's new.
Also,
I
what
gotcha.
I'm wondering if it is, and like it's a business. So how much of it is maybe the movie, and this I would like to look up to see if any of this could be a factor. How much of it is movie companies now saying, oh, listen, these Marvel movies are making billions of dollars
Yeah.
per movie. Yeah, we want a comic book movie. What can you do around that line? Because
Oh,
that's
that
what's
would
bringing
piss
in
him
the
off.
money.
That would piss somebody off.
So I'm
yeah.
wondering how
That's not
much
their
of that is
style.
he saying, listen, all these movie companies, they're routing all their money towards comic book movies.
Well, that's the
and they're not
that's the
making
big studios.
big movies.
But a lot of
other
a lot of movies get privately financed. You know,
yeah, but
and
they're
people.
not getting the budget maybe that they're. That's what I'm saying. I would want to see if that's what it is. Is that maybe the movie
Oh no,
companies
you're
are moving
absolutely
towards
right.
that?
No, no.
Yeah.
I would say that
And
you're
so they're
absolutely
getting
right.
burnt that maybe a movie he wanted to make isn't getting the budget it could have gotten because they want $1 billion.
No, you're
movie.
you're absolutely right because that's the way the entertainment industry has worked for a while. Where if whether it be music or film or whatever, somebody comes out with a new sound, and then they're only looking for that sound because every group or every studio wants their own version of that. Like you see,
sound,
like
yeah.
you listen to the radio now. So much of like when rap changed, like when in our day with rap. Biggie didn't sound like Pac, didn't sound like Jay-Z, didn't sound like Nas, but they were all hip hop. And then we had guys like PM Dawn out there that had some all other stuff going on,
Right.
but they were still part of hip hop. Everybody was in their own and Jay-Z explained it like this. Everybody was in their own corner doing their own thing, but it was all part of this bigger community. And everybody's like, "Hey, look at me, look at what I'm doing,"
Right.
and everybody was doing something different. Whereas now something hits big and everybody runs to copy it, and all the studios, like you were saying, Al, they're like, "All right, well, we want our Marvel, we want our comic book, we want our DC, we want our
Yeah,
version of
absolutely. I've
that." So
seen
yeah,
that.
I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah.
Now, didn't Martin Scorsese just come out with a movie? Isn't The Irishman?
Yeah, but it's on Netflix.
What is
It's
is
Netflix.
You think that's a part of the hate right there?
That
That's
is
what
part
I'm
of the hate.
He's doing Netflix and he's doing a limited. They're doing a limited release in theater because they want it considered for Oscar
contention.
contention,
Yeah.
and it needs a certain theater run in order for it to be.
Yeah,
considered.
because as a matter of fact, Spielberg is adamantly against things that are on Netflix or Hulu that are that are movies, if he's like, those aren't movies
Because they didn't come out.
because they didn't come out in the theater. Whereas media is changing. The way people consume media is changing. Like cable companies, like so many people are cutting the cord and not using cable anymore because times change, and you either change with the times or you get left behind. And these guys that have been in the game for 3, 4 decades, they don't want to change because they figured out their formula for success. But in a business like entertainment, it's a fluid business.
It is, yeah.
And it's ironic for a guy like Spielberg to be talking out against, Netflix per se, or a Netflix movie with it, because Jaws was his big break in,
Yeah.
and it was completely unorthodox. He had an unorthodox rise to fame and glory and everything. So for him to turn around, he was that guy, the outsider that everyone's like, what he's doing is not art, and this and that and the other. Now he's turning around doing the same. These are the guys, the Scorseses, the Spielbergs. They are who they are because they were the visionaries,
Right at their time. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, they haven't come out with anything new. They haven't come out with a new vision or anything. So now new people are coming. A new generation is coming in with new visions and everything, and they're pushing them out.
Right.
And not necessarily pushing them out. They're like, hey, we're doing what we're doing over here, and more people are going over there to see what those new people are doing. It's sour grapes. That's all it is.
Yeah, it sounds what it is, man. But listen, man. I would always tell people, give everything a shot.
Because look, we didn't start a podcast off of Scorsese movies, right? As good as they are,
Right.
People ain't listening for the Scorsese movies. They listening when we talk about the Marvel.
Hey, for the Marvel. That's why we got to bring it up every day.
Hail Disney.
Well, man, listen. Let's go into DC now, man, and we'll end the podcast with the DC stuff. So the first real quick thing is something I got actually on the way here was they signed Zoe Kravitz to play Catwoman. Now, what's funny is she also played the voice of Catwoman in the Lego Batman. So that's pretty funny. But she also was the voice of Mary Jane in the Spider-Verse. And if you don't know her as an actress, just the only movie I could really think of that she was in X-Men First Class. She played Angel.
Yes.
So what do you guys think? Zoe Kravitz, Catwoman?
I'm with it.
Yeah, I like the casting.
Right. It seems very interesting, man. But I really want to know what they're doing. I mean, right now they got either the Riddler or Penguin. They have...
Because who was it? We were talking about, it was Jonah Hill.
They is playing either one of those two characters. Then we have Catwoman. Commissioner Gordon signed on. I mean, I just want to see something.
But are they not going for the comic book version of it? Because they're doing like the Batman, the detective with this, right?
They're trying to go back to his detective roots with this.
Even in the comics, there's so many different versions of it. Once it's not the Halle Berry version of Catwoman. I mean,
but that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think they're going more for like a Joker type setting for this, like where it's not the cartoony. Like, he was not a cartoony Joker whatsoever.
Batman hasn't been cartoony for a while.
Yeah, but I don't. What I'm saying is, I don't think they're gonna go for the. I wonder if they do the whole cape and costume part of it.
They have to. This is
Batman. Or is it gonna be like in the shadow, like the cape and cowl and all that?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
what do you mean? For Batman having a cape and cowl?
Batman. Like, I'm wondering if this is like an early stage before he went full on cape and cowl.
Well, he still had. He always had because he figured out early on he had to hide his identity.
No, I know, but I would like to see if they do like did anybody ever see the Daredevil on
Netflix?
Netflix?
Yeah.
You remember he just had like it looked like a
like
hoodie.
a sweater.
Yeah. He just had something initially. That was how he was like for almost the first full
So kind of
season.
like how at the beginning of Batman Begins when he finally started going out, like he was just in spelunking gear with a mask.
Yeah. So like have him going out. Yeah, he's trying to hide his identity, but he's not like with a Batman cape and cowl and everything.
Oh, you trying to give me Batman at the end credits, Al?
Oh,
Don't do that to me.
Not in the end credit, but like
towards the end.
Like Joker was real.
Well, no,
I want to see if they can do that. Like
I think
Joker
I think
real.
they did put out pictures of the bat suit.
Oh, they did.
Okay.
I don't quote me on it.
Yeah,
I may be talking out my.
Because I would have liked to. I would have liked to have continued this realness with like Joker. Really, you only got Joker when he did the smearing of the blood on the side.
Right.
But other than that, he was a real man that had a real clown face on him.
So
he wasn't like done up. And even when he had the suit,
So what level of realness would you attribute to, let's say, Christopher Nolan's Batman, even though he was in the cape and costume?
well, because
Was
they
he-
had gone with the cape and costume, I don't think it was overboard because they still, even when they brought Bane in, like it wasn't this massive Bane and everything. So I like the way they left it, but they were already there. Like the first Batman Begins already had him in the cape and cowl. So, and you hadn't had.
So you're talking about less comic than that, the less cape and costume
yeah, like
than
a
that.
yeah. Only
Okay.
because I like the realness that this Joker had. Like he was demented. You can see that. Okay, he's gone, but I can see him in a regular suit with that same mask, and it's not over the top like some of the Jokers have been in the past.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So like if they can do a Batman on that level where
Yeah.
you can say, all right, he's wearing some kind of an outfit and a costume to intimidate, because that was the whole reason behind the Batman costume, was to intimidate the people he was going after. So like do it on that sense. Like show me something that's not as cartoony but stays in the realness that this Joker world established. And I would like to see if they can do something along that lines.
Wow. And I would boo that movie. I would boo that movie.
But that's where I think they're going, because look at who they brought in as Batman.
Damn, son.
Boo!
But they have to. 'Cause
I
they
don't
didn't
think
bring,
I don't think I've ever booed Batman.
No, but because what's his name? It doesn't seem intimidating.
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He put on some.
I mean,
That's
but you know what?
If Robert
you know what?
Pattinson came down
I take
here-
that back a little
Okay.
because the original Batman, Michael Keaton, is still one of my favorite Batmans, and I would.
He wasn't physically.
and at that
intimidating.
time,
Yeah.
he was not intimidating.
No.
So I take it back. No, I take it
Because
back.
I'm just saying, like, with all the trash I've talked about Robert Pattinson being Batman, seeing the way he looks now, if he came down here and like wanted to like ask me some questions about me and
Yeah, if he
how
put
I
out-
feel about him, I'd feel intimidated.
I mean, I think they're supposed to start shooting sometime next year, like in January, February for the movie. So hopefully we'll get some like pictures of him. I'm sure he's tried on the costume or outfit that he's gonna wear by now. So hopefully they'll leak a picture out, and we'll see what happens with that, man. But to stay in the DC lane, and again we brought up Joker really quick. There's one last question I wanted to ask you guys, because
Okay.
now we've seen Joker and we've seen a lot of iterations of Joker. So we'll call this section Joker versus Joker versus Joker versus Joker versus Joker.
Have there been that many Jokers?
Let's see. We got Mark Hamill. We got-
Okay, all right, you counting? Okay, yes,
Mark
yes.
Hamill. You got Jack Nicholson. We got Jared Leto, Heath Ledger, Joaquin Phoenix, Cesar Romero.
Oh, thank you. I thought you were gonna leave out Cesar Romero. Like I'm looking at you like, where's Cesar Romero, bro?
come
He's like the
on.
first one.
Come on, Adam West, Batman.
Holy hopping spitballs, Batman. Love you, Dick Grayson.
Oh my god. So I mean, like, I know for all of us, we've seen all these iterations of Joker. Sanj, you're a big fan of Joker. A bigger fan than I thought. I never knew you were a big fan of Joker like that until
Yeah.
like the recent podcasts and stuff.
Darkness.
Yeah, man. So I mean, you don't have to like choose one over the other, but like, which one stands out to you for any particular reason?
I can't pick one that necessarily like you're saying. One doesn't stand over the other. Like
Right.
Cesar Romero was groundbreaking for his time, and I also give him respect as a Latin actor at that time period in
'Cause
Hollywood.
That Batman was what, 70s?
I want to say
60s?
60s and 70s, yeah. And I mean, but it was a campy Batman, and he
Yeah.
played the character very well, and he was
Yeah.
very entertaining.
Yeah.
I didn't. Mark Hamill maybe because I didn't know it was Mark Hamill voicing the Joker, and the level of darkness that he brought to a cartoon while still
yeah.
keeping it clowny
Uh-huh.
as well.
And he
Yeah.
did it for a couple movies too, animated movies, right?
But it started out with him in the Batman the Animated Series, opposite Kevin Conroy doing the voice of Batman. You're like, just like, oh, Batsy, like this all of that, and I'm like, I didn't know for years. I didn't know it was Mark Hamill.
Me too.
And I thought
No.
it was incredible. I didn't know he had that kind of acting chops.
Yeah, man.
You know,
He's not just Luke Skywalker, bro.
no, he's not. He's not. I mean, Heath Ledger was incredible. But what Joaquin Phoenix? I guess the standouts would be Mark Hamill and Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
man. And what about you, Al? I mean, with the Jokers there.
I would have to say it's a close tie for Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix.
Right.
Only because, and I want to attribute it to the point that I think Sanj made last week when we were talking about the Joker, was it was Jokers at two different periods. And they did an incredible job of representing a Joker at that period.
Right. The introduction of who he was from the beginning.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, Heath Ledger representing Joker as Joker. I mean, crazy to the point, burning up the pile of money, the sticking his head out the car, which they then pay tribute to in this
unhinged.
one. Yeah. And then Joaquin Phoenix showing that, the reason why Joker was always laughing was because he had a disorder. Like that he couldn't control that.
Right.
But then he was just demented, and why he became. So the performance that they both put in made each Joker just as understandable, relatable as the other. So I would have to say they're close equal because of the fact that you can't compare them as being the same Joker because they were Jokers in different periods. So to that point, like it's. I would say they're on equal par.
Those two there.
Yeah.
Dude, I almost started laughing when you said when he burned a pile of money. Because I don't know if you guys remember. I just saw it literally last night. I watched it because I was just in the mood to see The Dark Knight. And on top of the pile of money is the banker, the Chinese nationalist.
Yeah.
So he's on top of the money tied up. And Joker's on the bottom talking about what he's going to do with the money. And he throws one, not a brick, but like one wrap of 1,000.
Yeah.
And he
A stack?
A strap.
A strap of hundreds, and he hits him dead on his head, dude. I never noticed that before, and I replayed it 4 times and just laughed because I'm sure he didn't mean to do it. But dude, if you guys watch The Dark Knight again, wait till you see that scene where he's on top of the pump. And also, he does this jump and slide down the money.
Like Scrooge McDuck?
Oh, man. So, listen, I watched The Dark Knight last night, and I found it incredible. And the way he just made the Joker what he made it into, it was insane. The little ticks, it was just insane, and licking his lips, and even little subtle things I noticed yesterday, like in the first scene not the first scene, but in one of the scenes where he comes into the restaurant kitchen where they're having the meeting, or the
pencil
after the pencil trick, he's talking to them and he's saying something, and somebody goes, I think he's describing himself, and someone goes, "You're crazy." And really quick on the low, he goes, "I'm not crazy," or "I'm not."
Right.
And it's just all those little intricate things he did with that character. I was just like, wow, this guy was in the zone playing this Joker. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then I think about Joaquin Phoenix, and I'm like, that guy scares me. And it's funny because it's like you were just saying, it's watching someone really turn into this man because of what the things that he went through, and just bad news after bad news after bad thing that kept happening to him. And I did like it, but I gotta say, I think the way that Heath Ledger just killed being the Joker, he's my number one always. I would say Joaquin is right under. If it's a tie, he's 1B.
Yeah,
Joaquin's
1A, 1B.
1A, 1B.
Like KD and LeBron.
Yeah,
kind
man.
of deal. Yeah.
But then I think about Jack Nicholson, man, and I remember that Batman from, was it 1980 something?
1989.
Yeah, I thought it was 89. But yeah, that Jack Nicholson, the way he played Joker was awesome too. And it's just like you were saying, Sanj, it's not like choosing your best one, but they kind of played a different iteration of Joker.
And also, you got to figure the time frame, because I don't think you could have gotten this Joker movie made in 1989 because they wouldn't let it.
They wouldn't let that.
They wouldn't let it on screen, because now you just get to see more blood, more violence, more gore, more skin on in the theater than you would at that time. They wouldn't have given it even an R rating at that time. That would have just been no.
Yeah.
The rating would have been no.
Yeah.
Just no.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you try to think about now, knowing the quality of actor that Jack Nicholson. I always mix him up with the golfer. Yeah. Him and Jack Nicklaus. I always mix them up. I can't get it right. So Jack Nicholson. I would love to hear his thoughts on, given if they remove the constraints that they had at the time period, how would you play the Joker? What would you have done differently with the Joker?
More maniacal.
With your Joker, with his Joker,
Right.
that at that time, like if he didn't have any constraints, and I will say also one thing, I have a hard time right now separating Joaquin Phoenix and Heath Ledger also,
Yeah.
is because they're the only two where I feel like they could be playing the same character, but like we said, just at different parts of their development, they look like they could actually be playing the same actual Joker, because of how diabolical and everything. Like, Heath Ledger obviously being the end result,
Right.
of the descent into madness.
I can see that, man. Absolutely. Yeah, man. But I noticed none of us talked about Jared Leto. Was it that bad, or is it just not worth
no,
it?
it's
little.
Just, hey, he didn't do badly, but somebody else did so much better. Like it, I don't think he had a story to work with.
Right.
He wasn't that big.
He was in the background. For
right. He wasn't that
Suicide
big.
Squad.
He wasn't that big of a deal in Suicide Squad. If anything, Harley Quinn stole the show.
She did.
in that movie.
Absolutely did.
And as much as people talk nonsense about or crap about Suicide Squad, her performance as Harley Quinn was incredible.
Perfect.
So let's pair that
Yeah.
with either Heath Ledger, which we can't do now for obvious reasons. Rest in peace, Heath Ledger. Let's pair that with Joaquin Phoenix in a movie.
That'd be insane.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely insane. What'd you think of the Jared Leto, man?
They needed to give him more time. That's what hurt his character, his version of Joker a lot. Because I think the way he was initially playing it, it would have been interesting to see them play him off Batman. But because we didn't get to see that or see anything of him other than he was just crazy, and I think he only had maybe 5 scenes throughout the whole
Right.
movie.
There wasn't that much. There
So,
wasn't a sampling.
Yes, I mean, and Jared Leto's a great actor.
Oh yeah.
And he went in intense with this for a role that was only going to have a handful of scenes. He went in very real.
I also saw some articles where Jared Leto was a little upset about the Joker movie because he felt left out.
Right. He was just like, how come he
didn't get a chance to, like, he saw the movie and he's like, how come I didn't get a chance to play a character like this? Like, you made me the Joker and gave me, like Al was saying, 5 scenes. Like, what I could have done
to get deep into the character like that.
Like, he's just like, well, I would have been able to do so much with this character if you'd have given me that to work with.
Yeah.
And I have to agree with, like, I would love to see what Jared Leto could do with a fleshed out Joker.
Yeah. For me, man, that Jared Leto Joker, I didn't like the look of him from the beginning when they first showed it, what he was going to look like. And then even seeing him in the movie, I just don't like the way he looks. I don't know if it's the longer hair, because Cesar Romero's Joker didn't have a longer hair either.
No, he just had like a green coif.
Right?
And what was crazy with the makeup, too, they clearly, like, when you look at it, Cesar Romero refused to cut his mustache, right? Off.
So they whited it.
They just painted over it. But you could clearly see there's a mustache there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're not fooling anybody here.
Yeah, man. Jared Leto, man, the damaged tattoo over his head.
The tattoos is what did it for me. I'm like,
the freaking the teeth. If they had made Jared Leto not the real quote unquote Joker, made him have been the Robin that turned into the Joker, like in the comics,
Tim Drake,
I would have been like, oh, okay, I get it. This is there's a
Is
real
that-
Joker out there, and this is him imitating the Joker. But they didn't give us that, man. And I was always hoping that would be the little hook, or something that would be like, oh crap, at some point, because they never explained to us.
He almost seemed
what
too
happened
young
to
to
Robin.
be the Joker, didn't he?
Right, that's another thing too. Like I said, his overall look for me, Jared Leto killed the Joker for me. But again, I did enjoy Suicide Squad, and I did like his role in it. He did a couple good things in there, like when he rescued Harley in the helicopter.
That was just love.
I'm wondering if that's where they were going to maybe go with it. Because if you think about it, this was set in the same DCEU with old Batman. With
Old man Batman.
Ben Affleck playing Batman. So and as we see from Joaquin Phoenix's version of Joker, he's much older than Batman.
Right.
Then I'm wondering if I'm hoping maybe that was the direction they were going to go.
I'm going to cross my fingers, man.
Because he was significantly younger than.
Yeah, dude.
I'm okay with the Joker being older, significantly older than Batman. Because I always felt like the Joker was significantly older.
Right. That's how he outsmarts them and all that stuff. Because he had to be.
Just from how I saw the character, I didn't think they were contemporaries. I thought the Joker was older than him. You know, because even in the 1989 version of Batman, he's the one that pulls the trigger and kills.
So then he's already at least in his 20s.
Yeah, that's why when people was making issue of the age of the Joker, the fact that it was in the 80s and whatnot, I'm like, do we remember Batman from 1989? Like he was the one that pulled the trigger on the Waynes, and then Bruce Wayne grew up, and that was the guy. So it was an old Joker.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely see that now, man. Absolutely, man. Well, man, listen, that's going to be like all the news and the rumors and stuff like that for this week. We'll be back with you guys next Sunday. But remember, you guys can always find us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at The Real Fan Review. On Twitter, I think we're just Real Fan, which REEL_fan. And then you guys always go to our website, therealfanreview.com. That's where you can see all our podcasts, leave us a message. And also, you can email us at therealfanreview@gmail.com. And guys, we appreciate all the listeners. We're seeing a lot of new listeners on there. We appreciate you guys. And listen, if there's a topic you guys want us to discuss, email us. Let us know. We'll gladly talk about that topic on our next podcast. So for Sanj, Al, and myself, Hav, we thank you guys as always. And we'll catch you next week. Have a good night.